Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. and this is Tobacco or Not Tobacco, where we're going to dive into a variety of games, campaigns, pledge levels, stretch goals, all of that and more. And of course, whether you should back it or not, although really it's more of a personal choice. I'm just kind of here for like the details and tidbits and my own 2 cents in the background to help guide and inform your decision. I missed you last week. I was at Dice Tower East, I was at Dice Tower East, and it's been a busy few weeks. There's been too many conventions. There's been like Origins, there's been an IV trip, there's been Dice Tower East. We have Gen Con coming up, although this is a perfect time to go ahead and segue into our sponsor of the week. We have WSBG once again as our sponsor of the week. We have this coming up September 24th. I think it's September 24th, so let's go and scroll down over here. We have September 21st to 26th. 24th is somewhere in the middle there. September 21st to 26th over here, WSBG, the World Series of Board Games. It's rapidly approaching. It's 2 months away. I don't know when they're closing ticket sales, but if you are interested in this, you should go ahead and check it out now. I've talked about this a lot, but I'll just do the quick notes on this one. This is a competition where you can win a whole bunch of money. They're giving away $40,000 in prizes, but that's not all, because you may not be interested in competing in a board game competition, which is why it's worth noting if you like playing games, this is also for you. Taking place in Las Vegas, it's got a great location, it's got the Dice Tower West Library, it has a ton of events, side thingies, tournaments, all this stuff, the official tournaments where you can win money, side tournaments where you can just get fame, glory, possibly games. I'm not entirely sure all the various prizes they have going on, but there's a lot going on here, and you can go ahead and use the code ALEX to get $25 off a ticket if you go ahead and buy from the variety of passes they have. Whether you're going as, just the convention itself, whether you're staying at the hotel with their resort pricing, with their convention pricing, all that. But either way, check out WSBG. It's an absolutely fun time. I'll be going there again this year for the full event. Last year I kind of had to miss the first few days, unfortunately, but I'll be there for the whole event this year. I think it's an excellent event and one worth attending if you're able to. And with that, let's go ahead and dive into the campaign, starting off though with our usual GameFound disclaimer. Please take into account that I am CMO of GameFound. I've been working for GameFound for nearly 2 years now, although I've been doing this series for quite some time, but please take any potential biases into account. And with that, let's go ahead and start off. No, we're not done yet. We have our Cult of the Now. I always forget the order of these things. Cult of the Now. Before we dive into all these crowdfunding campaigns, this is a reminder that you can get plenty of great games available now, very often great games that once upon a time were on crowdfunding, and now you can go ahead and just get them now. So if you missed them, this is a reminder that crowdfunding can bring a lot of joy into your life, a lot of fun games. Some of the best games in my collection were crowdfunded games at one point or another, but also there's a lot of FOMO in crowdfunding. Reminder, you can get great games now, or great games that were in crowdfunding will show up in retail eventually. For today we have Ezra Nehemiah from Garfield Games. This is showing up over here at, darn it, it says out of stock. When I popped this up yesterday when I was doing all this stuff, it was in stock. Our Cult of the Now is not available anymore. It's sold out. This game is probably available in some other site. Go ahead and check out Game Nerds or not Cool Stuff Inc. anymore, but the variety. I use these Game Nerds and Miniature Market for my own personal things, which is why I most often do those as my Cult of the Now segments. But there's a variety of sites you can go ahead and check out. But Ezra Nehemiah, available now from places that aren't Miniature Market. You can go ahead and check out this game, a well-received game from Garfield Games, but just not here. With that, let's go ahead and dive into the campaign, starting off with Board Game Adjacent. We have Trickerion, the role-playing game, over on BackerKit over here. 46,000 euro raised. Trickerion, the role-playing game. Not going to really heavily go into this one because, frankly, I've never fully been able to. I always talk about this, but like when it comes to role-playing games, one role-playing game kind of looks the same to another to me. Probably no differently than the idea that one board game looks the same as another to people who aren't in this world. Can you imagine trying to show people who don't play board games Euro games, and then trying to explain why there's 7,000 Euro games that all involve minute variations of take an action, play a card, gather 2 resources, trade 2 resources in for that thing over there, when you slide it to the left, you get a point. And all these games are doing that same thing, and they're like, why do you have so many of them? Aren't they all the same? And you're like, no. Well, that's role-playing games to me, so I'm not going to heavily, and that's just because I haven't played them enough to be able to find those minutiae as to why one matters more than another. But what I can say is if you're interested in the Trickerion world, that would be a good starting point as to why this one matters more than another. So if you want to check out Trickerion, the role-playing game, if you are interested in the Trickerion universe, this is a good opportunity to go ahead and check it out. Random fun fact before we dive into the board games, if the ceiling situation looks a little better, just for those who've commented in the past, this is a standing desk over here right now. I like the standing desk. I could lower it. It's a sit to stand desk, but that means that since I've been filming in this new setup over here, in past videos people have commented how I kind of look right next to the ceiling. Someone suggested raising the camera a bit and then lowering, well, not lowering myself, just raising the camera and having a lower angle. If this does look better, let me know. There's also the possibility that I could raise the camera more, honestly, and also maybe I'll just sit down, but if it's not too off-putting, let me know, aside from the weird lamp that I need to get rid of. I don't like these lamps. They're not like really aesthetically pleasing. I don't even use it for the light in this room. As you can see, it's off, but either way, new house problems, one step at a at a time. Anyways, moving on from there into the board game category of things, we have Brink from Ivy Studios over here. $925,000 raised, 6,500 backers, 7 days to go. I am curious where this one will end up. I initially thought it would be around 1.4 million raised, primarily because Fractured Sky did around 1.2 if I recall correctly, and that was a new game from them. This one's a new game set in the Moonraker's universe, which is a more beloved universe. I assumed it'd be a little closer, a little higher than Fractured Sky, although right now, I mean, I think it will beat Fractured Sky, 7 days to go. I think it has a decent chance of hitting 1.3, maybe 1.4. Either way, that's kind of behind the scenes, just numbers, guessing, and all that stuff. But $926,000 raised. This will definitely cross $1 million. So make sure to go ahead and subscribe to Room and Board, to Chris George over at Room and Board, because he will almost certainly, totally, possibly have you a 5 reasons not to back Brink video. He should, unless of course he's doing things, in which case he might not. But then he should. He really should. He should do it. I'm saying he should do a video on this. Anyways, make sure to subscribe to Room and Board. Past that, Brink is a standalone game set in the Moonraker's universe. When I said Moonrakers, do not think this is a Moonraker's game. This is a standalone game set in the Moonraker's universe. The general idea of the game. Also, I should note before I go through the rest of this campaign, please note that Ivy Games did bring me in for a filming session and all that, so take any potential bias from a publisher trip out for the game into account as we go through this. But that said, Brink is a standalone game. It's a worker placement game in which you're going to be placing your workers. You have 3 ships across 3 rounds of play. So effectively, you have 9 placements across the entire game, 9 placements. The thing that matters is your ships have 3 different sizes. You have a regular 1 ship, which goes on 1 tile, 1 hex. You have a 2 ship, which goes across the edges of 2 hexes, and you have a little 3 ship, which goes on the intersection of 3 hexes, which means while you only have 9 placements across the entire game, you have a lot more to consider, because every single time you place down a ship, you have to be mindful of the fact that each tile is going to give you resource cubes, which are important to buy the things you need. Different resource cubes matter. You're also going to be taking an action based on the tile. Every tile gives you resource cubes and an action. Well, most tiles give you an action, but that's a whole lot different story. So anyways, you have actions. You're trying to think which actions are important to you, and then you also have area control. At the end of the round, you're going to be scoring for area control, which means every single one of the placements you place in this game is going to affect 3 different things. So you have 9 placements, but each of those 9 placements have size 1, 2, and 3, and each hex has 3 things that matter, which means there are a lot of things to decide upon in this game as you go through it. Either way, check out the review of it on the channel. There's a gameplay over on, well, there's a lot of gameplays over on Ivy Games. Lots of content out there around this game, but it is, I really enjoyed this one. For context, this is my, I think I still like Mythic Mischief more, but this is probably my second favorite, or certainly my second favorite or favorite Ivy game. For right now, it's called second favorite, and we'll see how it goes. But either way, this over here, that's the basic idea of the game itself. So there's lots of negotiation or trading as well. There's more trading than negotiating, so you need trading resources a lot in the game. They have a good dynamic as to how to make that work. But either way, that's the basic idea of the game. As far as the pledge levels, you have $79 for the basic game over here, which again, $79 being the basic game, it's a lot of money. Let's make not any, this is why we talk about Culture now, because you can get games for $42 that are well received, instead of a game that starts at $79 for the basic version of it. Crowdfunding is very cool. Crowdfunding has a lot of good games. Crowdfunding is very expensive. Well, there's also cheap games, but different story. Anyways, we have a Brink Deluxe Edition for $119. It's going to give you custom cubes, more miniatures, a larger board. And then we have the $169 Super Deluxe Edition. That's going to give you the super painted, not super painted, the regular machine painted miniatures, the holographic hexes, and more, and as well as the holographic box. So this is going to be the most premium of premium pledges over here. 3,500 backers on that one, 1,600 backers there, and 188 backers on the basic version of the game. This is what, say what you want about Ivy Studios, they have a very passionate audience of people who are definitely there to get those premium games and pay those premium price points. That's the basic idea of the game. There's a lot of stretch goals coming up over here. There's a first player marker that's currently $20 for this metal first player marker, but it will be lowered to $2 if they hit a certain aspect of the stretch goal stuff. You can check out all those details as you go through this, but that's the basic idea over here. Lots of premium ways to get your hands on a copy of this game, lots of different versions of the game. You can get a, again, basic version for $79, although to be fair, even the basic version is still going to feel premium compared to a standard retail game, but $169 for the deluxe of most deluxe kind of thing. Shipping over here is going to run you $16 for the basic 48 lower states and all that, and that's not a bad price point when you think of the size of this box. That, I'm assuming it's a subsidized shipping. We've chosen subsidized. Yeah, that makes sense, because $16 on crowdfunding, sometimes you can see a box of the size easily being 30 or more, so that makes sense that they're subsidizing shipping on that one, which means at least it's not that expensive as far as the shipping category of things go. But either way, that's the basic game and all of that. They have the whole why back now section and all of that, but basically, should you back it, should you not, and all of that. I realize I've said all of that like 5 times in the past 2 minutes. I'll try to cut that out. Anyways, so over here, will this, should you back or should you not? Will it hold its value? All of those things. It's hard to say 100%. I think it mostly will. In general, if you look at IV games, their games have generally done a good job holding the value, especially at first. Like, if you look at it, say Fractured Sky, which is the most recent standalone game, that one did a great job holding its value at first. As time has gone on, it's gone a little down, so people are still getting most of what they paid back, but definitely losing a little bit. And that, I think there's a general trend of that happening more and more in crowdfunding as things are having, and we've seen this across many videos I've been doing, things are having a harder time holding the value. Crowdfunding is getting a little bit of fatigue. Big box deluxe experiences are flooding the marketplace, consistently, and that does mean people's ability to spend that much money on these games has gone a bit down. That said, I do think Brink is likely going to hold its value, at least at first, no differently than Moonrakers did, than Veiled Fate did. I think Fractured Sky is the first time, while Mythic Mischief and Fractured Sky have seen a bit more of a struggle to hold the value on the second-hand market if it's not a game that's for you. So if you are trying to back this and seeing if it's for you, I think you should try to play it right away. You'll be able to get most of your money back, if not all, if it's not for you. And if not, even down the road, you should be able to get most of it, but probably losing shipping, maybe a little more as well. So mostly holding its value, but not necessarily completely so. That's going to be Brink from Ivy Studios. Moving on, we have Stefan Feld City Collection, Classic Special Edition over here, 427 backers, 8 days to go, $89,000 raised. This is yet another version of the Stefan Feld City Collection. Queen Games is a fascinating company. I like their games. I always don't like some of the things they do, including the fact that they put out 7,000 variations and just configurations of their games. Like, they always have, like, here's the deluxe game, here's the retail game, here's the deluxe super deluxe, here's the classic special edition, here's the special edition, here's the classic edition, here's the classic special edition. I think I said classic special edition twice because it's hard to keep track. They have so many games, although I will say this particular set over here is my favorite cover of these games. In terms of the Stefan Feld City Collection, this is my favorite cover. I love the white with the kind of layered on artwork. I think it looks great. I think it looks amazing. And I already own some of these games, so I won't be getting some of these covers over here. Although I do think they actually have a pledge level to just get the covers and the game trays, because they are offering game trays in this as well. Again, this is the Classic Special Edition. Is that better than the Classic Edition? Better than the Special Edition? Is that worse? Do they even have a Special Edition? Is there an Essential Edition? If you can rank which ones these are, let me know, because I think I can figure it out, but I have to, like, refresh myself on it every single time. Anyways, this is basically the Classic Special Edition of the 4 games if you want to get your hands on these games. Now, I won't heavily be going into these games. I will say, Shut Up and Sit Down did a full video, a very entertaining, delightful video on these 4 games. Hamburg is, let me see if I can remember this. New York is a re-implementation of Rialto, I believe. Marrakesh is a new game. Amsterdam is a re-implementation of, okay, I can't remember which one's which. Amsterdam and Hamburg are Bruges and, oh my gosh, Bruges and Macau, I think. And I think Hamburg is Bruges, and I think Amsterdam is Macau, but it's been a while. So either way, these are re-implementations of older Stefan Feld games. These are the new City Collection version. They have changes to the game as well, so it's not just changes to the art and the production, but changes to the game. And then we have over here the various rewards. We have the New York City Classic for $64. We have the Hamburg Classic for $79, the Amsterdam Classic for $79, and then the Marrakesh Classic for $89. They also have the Camels and the Nomads expansion over here available as well. We have the Classic Upgrade Kit for these 4 games for $125. That's going to give you the boxes, the game trays, and the bonus content from this campaign. So all those things for each of those games. So for $125, you're basically just upgrading the versions of the games you already have to these versions. Again, this is why, like, I'm not against making better versions of the games. This is the best artwork version of the game, but it's always complicated with Queen Games. I like their games. They have too many versions of their games. We have $285 for the Early Bird Classic over here. That looks like the other ones that, okay, we have, okay, let's go through these over here. We have the Early Bird Classic 1 is sold out, it looks like. Okay, the Early Bird Classic 2 for $285. They are doing limited quantity early birds. Now, I have talked about this in the past. When a publisher does a limited quantity but just keeps changing the limited quantity, I hate that. I try to call it as much as possible. I think it's a terrible, terrible anti-consumer practice. When they just do actual limited quantity, when they legitimately do an actual limited limited amount, I do understand that people might be bothered by that. Why limit the quantity? Why have that? But at least if it's genuine and not an ongoing lie, I have less of a problem with it. I do understand people who don't like it. I don't mind as much as long as you're not consistently lying to your audience. Anyways, we have this, so we have the $285 for if you want all 4 versions of the games with all the stuff, plus the metal coins for $285. We have the classic special edition for $350. That's the stakeholder price to try to convince you that you're getting a good deal at $285. There's also 2 people backing at this level. If you are one of those 2 people backing at this level and watching this video right now, please understand that you're paying an extra $65 for nothing. I mean, supporting the publisher, I guess, if you want to, by all means. I just think sometimes people see the most expensive pledge and they're like, well, I just want to get everything, and they don't actually look close enough to realize you are already getting everything at the lower pledges. So that's that option over there. And then the 280 and the 290 over here, those are already sold out. The 290 one is weird because that one's more expensive. I guess there's one backer that looks like a fake pledge over there. Not fake, a mistaken pledge, and then they closed it off. Anyways, that's the basic version of this situation over here, the campaign. A bunch of different versions of the Stefan Feld City Collection from the first 4. As far as should you back or should you not, it's very hard to go over Queen Games stuff sometimes because they have so many versions of their games. I don't know where this one will lie. I will say some of the City Collection games have done a great job holding the value, some a little less so. Sometimes it's game dependent, sometimes it's edition dependent. This is a new edition of the game, so these things tend to be hard to track. I think in general, the City Collection, there's a certain degree of just trying to figure out what you're even trying to buy at any given point. So I don't really know. I'd say these are going to do decently enough that you're probably not losing a ton of them, but because it falls into the 3rd or 4th variation of these games, it's hard to make a educated guess exactly where these are going to fall. Anyways, moving on over here, we have the next game. We have the 1980 Sixtina over here from Looping Games. I think, is that their first time on... It's either the first time on GameFound or the first time on crowdfunding. I'm not sure. I know they have a bunch of games. I just don't know if they've done crowdfunding before. This is definitely the first time on GameFound, though. But we have 9,000 euro raised, 278 backers, 8 days left to go. This is a series of the 1900 series from Looping Games, a bunch of big box experiences in small boxes. I don't know how small boxes are, they're not like tiny, but they're smaller size boxes with big box experiences. The general idea over here is, well, this one's going to be 1980 Sixtina. It represents the repainting, the recovering the color of the Sistine Chapel, an actual project that's been done, and you are going to be doing that in this game. You're going to be doing that by gathering cards, trading cards in for resources, and then trying to discarding cards for resources, and then paying in cards to go ahead and paint the chapel, basically. To paint you're going to have these various cards in the market, and you're going to be trying to paint those layer by layer, and you're going to be trying to match either the exact value, higher or lower, although all of them have different trade-offs, whether you overpay, exact pay, or not, because all the cards have values on them, and each attribute that you're trying to paint effectively has a score. So let's say you're trying to hit a 5, you might discard a 4 and a 1, and that hits 5, or you might discard a 4 and a 2, and that's overpaying, or you might just discard a 4 and that's underpaying, and they all have different consequences. So you're trying to balance the cards you get, the way you discard those cards for resources, and the actual painting that you're going through. They have a whole how to play section over here that kind of distills the basic idea of what I just said in there. And then you're going through. You're trying to slowly uncover and repaint, retouch up the Sistine Chapel over here. As far as pledge levels in the game, pledge levels in the campaign, we have 19 euro for the basic game. We have a 3-pack for 52 euro, and then just a store pack at that point. So just, different versions of getting the same thing. There's just one game, 19 euro. Now, I do believe they had add-ons for the other games, if I'm not mistaken. We have we have the 1900 series over here if you want to check out a bunch of these. So 1980 Melia, the Anderson vs. Scott, Wall Street, Channel Tunnel, US Yorktown, Cotton Club, ISS, all these different basic games in this small box series of, it's giving you these different experiences. As far as should you back or should you not will hold its value, let's go to shipping, because that matters. Shipping to Spain is going to cost €0. That's going to make it much more attractive if you are, in Spain. But if you're, let's say, in the USA and Canada, you're paying €10 per game, which turns that €19 game into a €29 game, which is a big jump in the cost, unfortunately. And that goes into the whole should you back it, which is if you're focusing it from the value perspective, it doesn't make sense to get it. These games don't do a great job holding the value in the secondhand market. Again, the small box experiences generally have a harder time doing so. There are exceptions. Things like 20 Strong has done pretty decently, although we'll get into that later today. Things like, Radlands has done pretty decently. But in general, small box experiences, just the nature of the buying the game, the price point, the lost shipping costs, the sunk cost of shipping, all that. Those things make these games harder to hold the value. That will likely hold true for 1980 Sixtina as well. Moving on, we have Emerald Skulls over here. 1,300 backers, $75,000 raised, 9 days to go. Emerald Skulls coming to you from Thunderstone Games, right? Thunderstone. There's Thunder Grift and there's Thunderstone. Why am I no, not Thunderstone. What am I doing over here? It's Thunderworks. Jeez, I had a mental mind blank over here. It's Thunderworks and Thunder Grift. Thunderstone is a board game, right? Thunderstone Advance, whatever it is. Why? I feel like I'm getting old. Anyways, so over here we have the game over here. Emerald Skulls is going to be a is going to be a push your luck game of trying to score as much as possible while other players bid on your turn. Think a little bit of ready, set, bet, and a little bit of can't stop mixed together in the game. Because you have your own individual turn as you roll dice and try to move up this track over here and try to get as many points as possible. And you have other players bidding on how well you're going to do every turn. So everyone's always involved at all points, which is going to matter when we get to the 7 to 8 player expansion. The base game over here is going to be $20 over here. You can check that out. The expansion over here, which gives you the 7 to 8 player expansion, is going to be $25. And that's extra $5 giving you the ability to play with 7 to 8 players, which normally I would say never, ever, ever do. In a game where you're all simultaneously involved at the same time, that does give you a bit more credence to doing so. I have not played this though, and that makes me wonder, just from my understanding of the game, of going through it and how players are trying to rapidly bid on things versus the amount of spots to bid on. I do wonder if it might be a little too chaotic at 7 to 8, but that's just a wondering because I haven't actually played it myself. I've seen it played. I've actually been in a room when it's being played, but did not get a chance to table it myself because I had to catch up on emails and all that stuff. But anyways, 7 to 8 base game for 7 to 8 expansion is going to be $25. And then over here you have the gameplay all in for this game, but not including Goblin Vaults, for $45, which matters because when we get to the next pledge level, we have $55, an extra $10 to get Goblin Vaults. As a game that typically sells for $15 to $20, that's a good deal to get it only for an additional $10 to get Goblin Vaults added to your pledge if you do want that game. You can check out coverage of the game. I do think it's a pretty solid game if you're looking for a... How would I even define it? Either way, it's a good game. It's a good game. It's got elements of trick-taking, but underbidding, a lot of things going on in it. Either way, that's good. Goblin Vaults, check out coverage on that. Thinker Theme had a great video on it. I overall enjoyed it. But that's going to be $10 to add that to your gameplay all-in. Then we have the deluxe gameplay all-in for $75. That's giving you the extra coins over here. Not really coins, gears. The metal gear tokens for an additional $20 onto your deluxe gameplay all-in. And then we have the plushie as well for $95. If you want that plushie for an additional $20. They did plushies with their last campaign with Stone Spire Architects, and now they have it as well over here, so they now have 2 plushies in the Thunderworks line of plushies. That's basically what's going on in this campaign. As far as should you back it, should you not, will it hold its value? It's a little tricky in this one. I'd say in general, if you want all the deluxe stuff, yes, the campaign is going to be the easiest way to get your hands on all the deluxe stuff, especially if you want that extra copy of Goblin Vaults for an extra $10. $55 plus the shipping on the campaign is not an unreasonable amount for all the stuff you're getting there, but it's also a lot of money for a game that you can also probably just wait down the road and just pay, you know, when it shows up at retail, because this will show up at retail, pay the $18, $20, $25, whatever it's going to cost, because it's not going to be that expensive, plus the free shipping from wherever you're getting your orders from and whatnot, and that does mean that for a lot of people, you're paying a lot more to get the experience that you don't necessarily need to do so. You're getting some premium stuff added in, but I do think it's going to have a slightly harder time holding its value. So to me, it kind of comes down to whether you personally want that bling, because the easiest way to get your hands on everything and guarantee it all would be the campaign page, but just the nature of it being a small box game that's kind of made larger through all these extras, it really just comes down to how much you care about the extras. Moving on to Deep Regrets, an unfortunate fishing game, which is doing very well, by the way. 8,300 backers, $500,000 raised, 10 days to go. This is doing incredibly well, coming from Judson Cohen over here. They've done a few other games. The other games were, honestly, the other games have done well too. Let's go ahead and pop this up over here. The other games were Hideous Abomination. That just did, you know, we had, what is it, 2,000 backers, something like that, 2,800 backers. So their campaigns, 2,900 backers on this campaign. So that did really well, but nothing compared to this one, which has 8,341 backers and $500,000 raised. This one is doing tremendously well for them. By the way, the video, it's a little long, very well done. Check out the video if you want a very, very well done video over here. Thought it was amazing as far as, I don't know, immersing you into the experience over here. But Deep Regrets ultimately is a game of trying to fish stuff from the ocean, rolling dice over here, and then fishing more and more grotesque things that will satiate your appetite in some way, shape, or form in this game. So it's a little bit of eldritch horror combined with a little bit of rolling dice and assigning them to gather various fish in the game. In the game, you're going to be researching, inspect the shadows, gathering deciding where to fish, reveal, choose a shoal and flip the top fish, and then you're gonna have various abilities on the fish, and then you pay dice equal to the value of the fish difficulty to go ahead and catch the fish. A bunch more going on here, but that's a very basic summary of the game. You're going to have let's see what you have over here. We have a solo co-op mode as well. We have the Miseries and Madness modules over here. That's going to add to that over there. The game art looks amazing. The game video looks great. Check out both of those. But the game does seem to be on the lighter side. I shouldn't say is on the lighter side because I haven't played it. But from what I can see of it, it does seem to be on the lighter side, which makes sense given the audience over here, which means even though it's doing really well and looks really well, just make sure it's a game that's for you, because there are games for different people in all different kinds of ways, shapes, and forms, and just make sure this is a game that is the type of game you're looking for as far as wherever you are as a gamer or whatnot. I always hate saying something like that. It sounds so elitist, but in general, you just have to know what types of games you're playing and whether they're fit for you and your game group. But the game does look beautiful, I'll say that. The game looks great from the production, the art, the cards, all of that looks pretty amazing. But as far as pledge levels, they kind of just have one game pledge level over here, although they do have a bunch of add-ons. So we have €40 for the, which is about $52 for the base game over here. They're not doing stretch goals, they're doing all the bells and whistles included in that pledge level. They are doing add-ons over here. So if we go down to the add-ons, they are doing $4 for £4, not euros, £4 for the Lamentable Tentacle Chronicles mini expansion, £18 for a poster. This is nothing game related. We have £80 for artwork, and then we have £18 for the Hideous Abomination and expansion, the last campaign. That's what we have over here. We also have the heirloom edition for £3,000 that, as of right now, no one has currently bought, although, I mean, it's a very deluxe version. I do appreciate how they give you 2 copies of the game in this. They're like, here's the copy of the game that gets put into the box that you never have to touch and you pull out to show people how devoted you are to Cthulhu. And here's the copy of the game that you actually play with. I do appreciate how they, listen, it's £2,000. 2 copies of the game does make sense. And £2,950. I wouldn't want you to get the wrong idea or anything, although shipping probably bumps you to over $3,000. There are only 3 of those available, so act now and lock in your place. Anyways, that's basically the game over here. As far as should you back or should you not, will it hold its value? Almost certainly not. It's hard to say for sure. It's always hard to say for sure on campaigns that do, meaning campaigns that do really well, but are lighter experiences. It's a little hard to say on those things because a lot of it, it's hard to say because this is doing very, very well. It's found an audience. It's very popular. All those things are good. I'm very happy for them. Very successful. Great. All this stuff. But the price point of the game, plus shipping, by the way, because shipping over here, let's go on shipping. Shipping is going to run you, to the US, you can be looking at €12 on top of that. So £12, not euro, £12. So you're looking at £52, around $65, $70 for the game, around $70. So looking at $70 for a game of this, I just think it's going to be you have a harder time getting $70 back on this game if it's not for you. So check it out if it is for you, see if you actually care. Again, there's no stretch goals, no whatever. I do think it will likely have a retail presence, almost certainly with 8,300 backers. It would be very interesting for this to not have a retail presence, and with being all included, all deluxeified, all whatever, unless they strip down that retail offering, you're basically going to be seeing the same game at likely a cheaper price point, especially once you factor in shipping. So I don't think it'll hold its value. Instinctively, I just don't think it'll hold its value, but of course I could be wrong. Moving on over here, we have Effortless. Effortless Prepping for Adventure, 250 backers, $19,000 raised, coming to you from Barmaid Games, who made Expressions, the games I really enjoyed. You can check out my review of that, or Dice Tower's review on that for that matter. But Effortless over here is going to be a worker placement game of area control, sort of. Worker placement, set collection, and area control, kind of. Every round you're going to have your effort, which are your little cubes, little workers. You're putting them down onto various locations. That's going to have an area control. Is that worker placement? It's more area control than worker placement, but there is an element of worker placement. Well, they say worker placement. I'll go with that. Worker placement, set collection, and take that. They do take that too. But set collection, I'd say area control as well. But area control, worker placement, and set collection, you're going to be placing down your effort, your little cubes, onto various zones in the board. Those zones of the board will give you a card. It'll give you ways to get cards right now, which feeds into the set collection area of things. The set collection is going to be different types of sets of you're gathering, whether it's armor, whether it's attributes, whether it's you're going on these quests with the attributes you've gained, all those things. You have different things you're gaining in the game. And then you also have the area control aspect is at the end of the game, you're also going to score for the various locations you're in, and every location can score differently. In some places it's about having the most, in some places it's about for each cube you have, in some places it's negative points. You have to be mindful of all that as you try to gather the various cards you need for your set collection at all these locations. The base game over here is going to be $39. The expansion, or the deluxe all-in, is going to be $70, which gives you, well, everything over here, all the expansions for the campaign. Although the base game also comes with the basic expansion, the Dragons expansion as well, and bonus locations and settings. Then we have the Founder Pledge for a signed prototype for $500 to get the signed prototype, and I think did they have the, I thought I saw Expressions as an add-on, but they may have just done testimonials for it. I could be wrong. They may have just done testimonials for Expressions. I'm pretty sure I saw them somewhere over here. Let's see. I don't know. Expressions, reviews. I don't know. We're gonna move on from there. Anyways, that's basically the game over here. As far as should you back, let's go to shipping over here. Shipping first. Shipping is going to be United States going to be $13 for the game, which takes you your basic starting game is going to be jump from $39 to $52 for the game. As far as should you back it, should you not, will hold its value. I'm skeptical it will. I think in general, just the level of backers they have, 250 backers, 10 days to go. That number will go up. Maybe we'll hit 300, 350 by the end of the campaign. But I do think that in general, there's not enough of an interest to the game overall. So in general, I think this one is less likely to hold its value when you factor in the price point for the game and just where it's currently at in popularity. So if you want to guarantee the game, there's not enough copies out there that if you want to guarantee it, this is definitely the best way to do so, but I am skeptical that it will hold its value. Moving on, we have End of the Line, a post-apocalyptic family survival 2nd edition. 195 backers, 11 days to go, $16,000 raid, coming to you from Sepiyun from Fighting the Box. This is a deadly drafting game of avoiding the inevitable, which is a good time to remake this game after all the hype and buzz around Fallout. This kind of has a Fallout vibe to it as you go through the game. This is actually a remake, by the way, because I just realized I didn't say that. There was the original End of the Line, and now there's End of the Line 2nd edition. This is a remake, although remake with twists and adjustments to the game. I don't know enough about the original, so I can't say exactly what's different, but I just know that they've made the game different. This is going to be a 3 to 5 player game, and it's going to be $35 for the standard edition and $45 to include the Inclusive Families edition. If you're wondering what that is, that just gives you kind of extra meeples so you can make things actually match your own family. You can be like, hey, I want, 2 kids and a puppo and all those things. You can try to figure out how to mix and match and create your family structure in the game. But in general, in the game, your goal is to have the largest family at the end of the game. And every round, you're going to be placing cards out and placing your people. You're going to be placing a card, you're going to be placing out your people, your family members, and then you're going to be resolving those cards in different orders depending on the card types. You're going to be doing the nows, the events, then the laws. Your goal is to basically not die. Effectively, End of the Line is a game all but trying not to die, which you may or may not be able to avoid as much as possible. Everyone's going to die. Hope you're also alive. The video is also very entertaining, and it basically tells you you are all going to die. Most of you are going to die. But most is the key word, because if all of you die and most of me die, I just won the game. And if slightly less than most of you died, you won the game instead. So that's basically the idea of the game. We have the Impersonator all in over here, a bunch of extra Deluxeified tokens over here for $75 if you want all that. And that's basically the game. They go through it as well, a bit more information if you want to check it out. The basic idea: play a card, assign a family member, resolve cards, and hope you all didn't die. Hope as few of you died as possible in the game. Anyways, that is basically the game over here. As far as add-ons, go to the add-ons so you see what you're getting over here. Oh, they also have add-ons for the other games. So we have the Hedgehog Hop Collector's Edition. So if you want Hedgehog Hop in the very premium acrylic, I think it's acrylic, or whatever it is, very deluxe, deluxe acrylic tiles from Hedgehog Hop. I think Hedgehog Hop is a cute game, and I've played with the acrylic version at a convention once, and it was very, very premium. But I do think you have to like the game a lot to get a $75 version of it, but it's available for you. You have other games over here, more games, Triple Threat Classic. I thought there were also Deluxe Upgrades. Here we go. Deluxe Upgrades. We have the Inclusive Family Pack for $15, or $10 if you get it with the pledge level. We have Deluxe Views from Meeples for $20, and Family Welcome Mats for $20. And again, those are also over here for $75, which will save you money as well if you're getting all of those various things. As far as should you back, should you not, will it hold its value? Again, skeptical it will. Just the number of backers on this game. It looks like a fun, cute, like semi-party, semi-strategy experience with chaos and madness. Very like Get Bit vibes if you ever played Get Bit, old classic over there. But as far as the game goes, I think it's less likely to hold its value just based on the popularity and the price point of the game. Similar to Effortless, it's just everything has a price point and a level of success or popularity that will in some way impact the secondary market too. So I think this is, again, same idea. If you want to guarantee a copy of the game, this is the best way to do so. If you want to support a small publisher, best way to do so. But if you're looking at whether it'll hold its value, I think a little less likely. Moving on, we have 20 strong Tanglewoods from Chip Theory Games over here. We have 11 days left in the campaign, 4,600 backers, $546,000 raised. This is the next series in the Tanglewoods, the 20 strong line, of which they have big plans. Big plans in the sense that they are selling a box in this campaign that will hold 20 strong decks. And if you're not keeping track, the Tanglewood series brings us to 6. So if you buy that box, you are definitely trying to future-proof yourself against a commitment that 20 strong Chip Theory Games is going to put out a bunch of games. Now, I do believe they will. They announced in this campaign that they have Cloudspire coming. They also obviously have the potential for Burn Cycle. Whether they do Elder Scrolls, that would probably be a licensing conversation, so a little skeptical as far as whether that will or won't happen. But in general, the idea that they can get 20 games in the series makes sense. The only question is when they'll have it, and are you comfortable with a mostly empty box? We're kind of diving into the box situation. Let's focus on 20 strong. 20 strong is a series in which you have 20 strong dice. You're going to be rolling those dice in an effort to go through a series of challenges until you eventually get to the big bad and take that big bad on and destroy that big bad. It's ultimately a little solo puzzle of trying to manage your own resources and stay one step ahead of the enemies as they constantly try to ping you down while you try to improve your state in the game. How many reroll phases do you have? How many dice do you recall each turn, which keeps your units alive? How much health do you actually have, and have you just taken a hit to the head that you couldn't avoid? And if you just had 2 more health, you would have been alive and been able to make it forward in the game. You're trying to balance all that in the game. You're trying to balance the enemies you take on, and then every 20 strong game is different. The original campaign had 3 games: Solar Sentinels, Too Many Bones, and Hoplomachus. From those, I like Solar Sentinels and Hoplomachus a lot. Too Many Bones, ironically, liked it, but not as much as the other 2. And then this new series over here has Tanglewoods, a game set in a Mandy Tremblay universe. The universe by Mandy Tremblay, art by Mandy Tremblay, and I don't know if the individual games are by Mandy Tremblay because I played 20 strong. I played Tanglewoods Red, which didn't have him listed as a designer, so I think he's universe and art, possibly game design, and some of them I don't know the full situation over there, but I do know that there are 3 games in the series, and they all take a very Fable approach. So they're taking the series of the game, but with new art and a Fable approach, although there are cross-compatibilities between the games. In the games in general, whenever you have a game, there are heroes you play as. You pick a singular hero and you play as that character, and then many of those heroes are cross-compatible. Some aren't, because some relate to specific mechanics that are adjusted in each game, and others are because they don't. And so we have that option over there. So if you want to play with your fairy tale character in the Hoplomachus universe, I would never do that because my brain would break from the incompatibility of those 2 genres, but you are welcome to. Now, in this universe, I'd probably cross-compatible them, but like you got to pick a lane. Like this whole thing where you have fan fiction and Doctor Who's invading the Harry Potter universe, I know people are into that. I cannot wrap my head around it. Anyways, with that over here, 20 strong Tanglewoods. So, mostly they have a lot of information about the Tanglewoods Red game. They have a little information about the other two. I've played Tanglewoods Red, haven't played the other two, so I'll focus mostly on Tanglewoods Red, and we'll talk a little bit about the other two. Tanglewoods Red continues that same general idea I told you about, but in this game you're going to have 3 enemies at any point which represent the pathway. You can see the next 3 enemies in specific order as you go through a path. A very Slay the Spire kind of path. This path over here, so if you see this over here, it's going to be similar to Slay the Spire. You're going to have different arcs you can try to choose. There's going to be exploring where you try to figure out more cards. You can kind of see your pattern coming up ahead of you. But then you're also trying to basically try to, again, manage your resources as you go to marketplace phases, buy more items, engage with the merchant, and take down various wolves along the way. Because along the pathway, you're going to have opportunities to engage with 5 big bad wolves. And the important part is that there's a big bad wolf at the very end of it, and whichever wolves you didn't engage with are going to make the big bad wolf bigger and stronger and harder to defeat. So you kind of need to take on these harder fights, or you will otherwise be dealing with a harder enemy at the very end of the game. That's the core concept of the game. Again, you can check out a solo playthrough on the channel, and you can check out a review on the channel as well if you want to see any of that. But that's basically 20 strong Tanglewoods Red. As far as, and they also have a new manufacturer for the dice. The original 20 strong campaign did have some dice issues in terms of the way the color settled. They are changing that up, and they're adding a ton of deluxe resources and everything to this game over here. But that's basically that. They have some new dice designs. They have little arcs on these pips over here, so a cute little element over there showing you the success ratio in any one of these dice over here. And then we have all the various acclamations from the series. We have the current line, so we have these 3, these new 3, and they have Cloudspire plus more decks to be announced. Past that, we have the rewards themselves. So we have 20 Strong's Tanglewoods base game over here. That gives you the core new components you need for 20 Strong Tanglewoods, as well as Tanglewoods Red. That'll be $30 over there. We have the deluxe 20 Strong Tanglewoods deck only bundle. So this is going to be for $60. It gives you all of the decks plus the Baba Yaga expansion, which is an expansion that can be added to any of the 3 decks and gives you extra challenges to go through in the game. So it's a little mini expansion that can be added to any one of the 3. But for $60, you'll get all of that. Keep in mind, you are not getting the dice or the chip tracker. So this is for people who want to save $10, but they already have dice from 20 Strong, so they don't need that. Which 728 people have chosen that. Just for you 728 people, just make sure you understand you're not getting the dice over there. For $70, which is an additional $10, you get the new core components, the new dice and the new tracker, and all the stuff. So you're paying $10 more for new cool dice plus the new tracker. And then you also, or alternatively, if you don't have the original game, which might make sense too. And then, and I feel a sneeze coming on, by the way, for $130, you have the complete gameplay bundle, giving you both core boxes, all the promos, all the things, basically everything that you could possibly have for the game. And then the CTG Strategist, which is almost always sold out within 2 seconds of a campaign launching, so that's not available. Various stretch goals over here, which represent more cards, more things, more tracks, all those various stuff, just giving you more content for the game. These generally go, Chip Theory doesn't really do separate games. They do stretch their games out, but they stretch them out doing crowdfunding, and then that's just in their game. So you don't have to worry about these being exclusive. Usually when you back a Chip Theory game, what you're getting is better pricing. So you're getting better pricing than if you can get it from them later. So in general, and that's almost always true, usually a crowdfunding campaign from Chip Theory Games is going to have better pricing in the crowdfunding campaign than the ability to get said game later. 20 Strong is a bit different in the sense that 20 Strong is the first time they've really experimented with retail partnerships. So I haven't actually looked at a lot of retail sites available for the game. This is definitely cheaper than getting it from their website, but the original 20 Strong is cheaper than getting it from the website, but because they're finally doing retail partnerships with the game, there's a little less guarantee or control over that, which means I will be focusing on the secondhand market and whether the price point versus their own website. But anyways, we have all these various things. Again, if you want to see new cards, new characters, all these things added to the game, I think they're new characters. I'm not actually sure about that, I think. But either way, that's going to be the game over here. As far as the add-ons, you can get various content for the original 20 Strong if you missed out on any of that. And then you also have a bunch of extras and accessories and all those things. We have an alloy dice and tracker chip. This is going to be similar to what you saw on Hoplomachus if you back that. So you have metal dice for the 20 Strong series. It looks like it's specifically the new design. Let me just double check that. I think it's the new design with the it's the old design. It is the old design. So it's going to have the generic pips, not the slightly twisted flowery pips. It's going to be $60 for metal dice and metal tracker. We have the single deck travel case over here, $15, which is nice. I got it. That's what I got in the prototype copy. It's a nice travel deck over here. We have the 3 deck storage box for $25, giving you 3 decks stored in there. We have the 20 Strong 20 deck storage box, which also comes with a single deck box as well, but it's going to give you all ability to store 20 decks in this box over here, which granted this is a bunch of reprints because they don't actually have 20 decks. They also make sure to say this is not a guarantee that it's going to be only 20 decks. This is just a starting point in your 20 Strong addiction. Anyways, we have, although for those of you out there, if you really want to get technical, once they start having more than 20 decks, what you can start doing is a mini game where you pick the 20 favorite decks you have. So over time, you're like, hey, they now have 32 decks. Which are my favorite 20? And I now have 25, so I have to get rid of 5 of them because honestly, we're probably not playing all 25 decks anyway. So I'm just gonna have my favorite 20 games. Think of it as a mini game. A mini, like, who can collect the best 20 Strong The best 20 strong decks. Anyways, we have Solar Sentinel's core dice. We have the Alloy Tracker on its own if you just want that, but not the dice. Those are all various deluxe upgrades. Now, they are charging shipping in this campaign. It's notable because the original 20 strong campaign had free shipping. This one has $10 shipping, but I think the flip side was a little cheaper if I recall. I have to double check the 20 strong over here. $60 for the decks only. No, I think it was $65 for the all-in last time. So really, it's like going from 65 with free shipping, 70. It's really like $15 more when you think of it that way. So it's a little more as far as the original campaign, which brings us to the should you back, should you not, will hold its value. So if you look at their website, in general, their campaign pricing for any game is almost always cheaper than their website pricing down the road. That's true of the original 20 strong as well. So if you back the original 20 strong versus buying on the website, you did save money, which is a good thing. Saving money is a good thing. As far as the secondhand market, that's a little bit more mixed. In general, chip theory games do a good job holding their value. This one has done a little less so. If you look at the market on the secondhand market on 20 strong, you can definitely find people who managed to get most or all of what they got back, but there's some people who took a hit for sure. So I'd say compared to your typical chip theory game, this is a little less likely to hold its value in the secondhand market, but you're still getting most of your money back, if not all of it. So, and again, in some cases you could get all of it, in some cases you're getting most of it. There's not a lot of room for like profit on these games because you're usually just saving a bit of money from the website, so at a certain point you would just buy it from the website to get the new game and call it a day. But anyways, if you do want to back it and support the publisher, you're probably getting a reasonable enough price point. Moving on over here, we have Boom Patrol. Boom Patrol arcade style tank battling action over here. That's going to be 277 backers, 11 days to go. This is going to be a longer video today. 277 backers, 11 days. It's going to be late. I'm realizing this is going to be a late video. It's not going up at 10 a.m. because it's currently 9:37 as I say this. Anyways, 277 backers, 11 days to go. Boom Patrol arcade style tank battling action from Kurt Covert and Smirk and Dagger Games. This is basically a programming chaos game, programming chaos. You're going to be playing 3 cards every round that are going to define the actions you're taking, how you move, rotate, shoot your gun, etc. As you basically play through a little tabletop version of Tank Wars in Boom Patrol. You're going to be trying to take people out and just play cards and boom people up. That's kind of the game. It's a set a little battlefield, move your tanks around, destroy everyone, and try to win the game. So Mario Kart combined with BattleBots, or Mario Kart combined with Tank Wars, or Tank Wars combined with Robo Rally. Tank Wars combined with Robo Rally is what I'm going to say. For the game, for the rewards over here, you have $35 for the standard game, and you have $49 for the Glitz and Glory Deluxe game, which gives you the holofoil boards, tanks and captains, molded plastic token sets. And they also have in the add-ons over here the ability to buy wooden tanks. For $15, you can buy wooden tanks over here, 4-piece wood construction with treads underneath. I wish they had shown the treads. I kind of want to see the treads. Anyways, that's the basic game over here. It's a very straightforward, party, have fun kind of a, not really party game, but like Robo Rally style game, a chaos and fun and madness, or with strategy, but focusing on the chaos and fun and madness. As far as should you back it, should you not, will it hold its value? I'm skeptical it will. If you look at the pledge levels over here, or wherever it was, they talk about how it's a $35 for the standard game pledge, you're saving $5 on the cost of retail, which is not a great savings once you factor in shipping. You have over here for $49, you're saving $11, late back is $55, retail price $60, so again, you're saving $11, but shipping over here on the game is going to run you $17 or $17 for the game, which means you're really not looking at saving much on this game because any savings you're getting on the game, you're basically paying for in terms of shipping. So that combined with the low back count in this one, I do think this one is less likely to hold its value overall. It hasn't really found their audience the same way many Smirk and Dagger games do. I think this is very much underperforming compared to a typical Smirk and Dagger game, but yeah, I think this one is less likely to hold its value. Moving on, we have Terrorscape Putrefied Enmity by Ice Mix. $589,000 raised, 3,200 backers, and 13 days left to go. This represents a new expansion to the Terrorscape universe. Terrorscape is basically a one versus many game where you have this giant mansion in the middle of the table. Yes, that mansion is like a kind of pop-up, fold-up, not really a full pop-up, you gotta assemble it a little bit, but either way, it's a giant mansion that comes in the box, and you're going to assemble it, and you have the killer on one side and the players on the other, giving you a very immersive kind of one versus many approach of trying to figure out what's going on as you just don't look over the top to see where people are. The killer's trying to track the various victims, I guess, potential victims. Let's call them potential victims. And the potential victims are trying to escape so they can outlast the killer, call the police, and get out of this in time, whatnot. Although I am curious because Putrefied Enmity focuses more on like ancient Egyptian medieval stuff, and I wonder if you're calling the police or someone else in that one. Anyways, that's the basic idea of the game. You're going to have killers with asymmetric abilities, you're going to have characters with asymmetric abilities, you're going to have unique maps, and you're trying to outlast the killer as you try to plan around, blockade doors, and move. Just plan your moves while everyone tries to stay one step ahead of each other as the killer is constantly running from room to room trying to strike and hoping they land with their chainsaw and cut off a limb or two. That's basically the game over here. For the rewards, you have a few things. We have $275 for the collector's bundle for basically everything new and old, and that includes well, except for one thing. There's a limited deluxe Sundrop miniature set, which is all sold out, so if you wanted the deluxe Sundrop miniatures, those are unfortunately already gone. You can't have access to them regardless, and they're not in the collector's bundle either. but it's going to give you basically everything else, which includes the new hollow foil cards and all the other stuff. We have Terrorscape for $79 if you just want to just jump into the game and you don't want to go completely crazy on this, and you want the most reasonable price point on the game. Well, this is a semi-reasonable price point for a very immersive experience. We have $89 for the new content bundle. This gives you, well, all the new content, Putrefied Enmity, the deluxe stuff over here. It includes the deluxe. It does not include the deluxe miniature set. It does include the... Maybe it does not include the deluxe to collect tokens, but it includes the hollow foil cards and the extras. We have the gameplay bundle for $199. If you want all the gameplay, but you don't need everything, a single shiny thing, this is $200 to basically give you the gameplay stuff. But you don't necessarily get all the shiny stuff because you don't necessarily need all the shiny stuff. This game's already deluxe enough. You're gonna have the mansion no matter what. You're gonna enjoy stuff no matter what. You can have the deluxe storage boxes, the foil killer ultimate cards. So basically, the new stuff over here, by the way, is Putrefied Enmity plus the deluxe storage boxes plus the foil cards instead. And then we have old content over here. We also have the block token cardboard figures, which gives you a more deluxe door block thing whenever you block a door. We have the sold out deluxe Sundropper miniature set, so you can't get that unfortunately. And then we have the deluxe Referral tokens and the new deluxe Referral tokens over here, as well as revised rulebooks if you need that for returning backers. And that's basically the game over here. In general, it's been very well received. I should have a review on it at some point. Will I have a review before the campaign ends? That's a good question. 13 days left. I can try. I've already played the game like 3 or 4 times. I can try. It's been like a month since I played it, so I would need to play it again just to refresh myself and get it clear again. But I might be able to get a game and review this before the expansion and before the campaign ends. So we'll see. Maybe I'll try, but no guarantees. There's always a lot of things when I play at any point. Anyways, as far as should you back or should you not, will it hold its value? There's not a lot of data on this one, honestly. The game has been very well received. The reviews have been very positive. I can definitely tell you I enjoyed it. How much, you'll have to wait for a review, but I definitely enjoyed it. I think it's a very good game. It has got an excellent Halo presence. But as far as should you back or should you not, will it hold its value, there's only like 4 sales I could find in the BG marketplace, not a ton of sales data. And for the most part, though, it has done well. Like, people who bought the original game sold the base game alone, sold it for more than they paid for it. People who bought the more expensive pledges seem to have gotten their money back on it, possibly less shipping on that, so you are taking a small hit. But this is a game that if you do want to try it out and it's not for you, it seems like you can get most of your money back. Not necessarily getting more than you paid for it, but getting most of what you paid, especially, again, if you pay $250 for the game plus a little shipping, and you just lose shipping, you're getting a relatively reasonable rental price to go ahead and try the game out. So it's for sure not a guarantee, especially second campaigns. They always have a little bit different as far as people who wanted the game already got it now, so the market's a little more flooded. But it does look like this is one where the hype is there, the desire to play the game is there, people want the game, people are enjoying the game, and people are paying for the game. Moving on, we have Mixtape, an engine building card game for 2 to 4 players. 252 backers, 13 days to go, $4,800 raised. This is basically coming to you from Talon Strike Studios, who haven't done a campaign in a while, by the way. But Mixtape looks like a fun little mini game. This is they have a new line of games. They're Quick Strike games. I think they're calling it the Quick Strike games. This is going to be $19 for Let's Make a Mixtape. No, that's not true. That's just Mixtape. There's a different game coming at some point in the future called Let's Make a Mixtape. That is a different game. This is not that one. Mixtape over here is a game which you're going to be drafting cards, not drafting cards, you're going to be gathering cards, and you're going to be on your turn basically take actions. You can take actions to gather cards, you can play cards into your Mixtape, which is going to, you have a little, you can see the colors on the cards, you're trying to chain the cards correctly for bonuses, and trying to move up your attributes over here, so you're trying to figure out the right combinations of, well, making a Mixtape as you gather cards and figure out what the right action economy of the game is, as you listen to the radio to gain cards, or record a song by paying its card cost and adding it to your thing on the A or B side, and scoring harmony points and all of that. So it's very quick playing, just like, just gather cards and play them in a very nice, charming theme. The pledge levels over here are going to be $8 for the print and play. We have $19 for the 1 copy of Mixtape, and that's basically all you got over here. Very quick, very straightforward, and shipping is going to run you $10, which matters because right now, as far as the what you save or why back now, all of that, they currently have it as you're basically saving, I can't remember where it was, but you're saving like 30%, what's it down? Risk, stretch goals, I can't find where it is. But they basically said over here on the campaign, you're saving 30%. Here we go. What is a quick strike? Discounted 30% off MSRP. Now, the tricky part is at $19, 30% off MSRP means you're saving like $3, maybe $4, but you're paying $10 in shipping, which again falls in the typical small box kind of conversation, which small box games have a harder time holding the value just because shipping eats up so much of the value there. So I do think this is one that's less likely to hold its value, although again, with 253 backers, this does mean that if you want to guarantee access to a copy of the game, this is likely your best chance to guarantee access to a copy because down the road, you may not have that chance. Moving on over here, we have Sirens of the Deep Sea. We have 3 more. This is one of 3 more. We have Sirens of the Deep Sea by Forgotten Tales. 140,000 euro raised, 588 backers, and 14 days left to go. Sirens of the Deep Sea is giving you a very RTS strategy kind of experience. Basically, you're going to be going through, it's a cooperative game for 1 to 4 players. You're going to be going through a sequence of scenarios in the game. I don't believe it's campaign driven. I think it's, scenario driven. So you just go through the scenarios as you go. But each scenario has multiple steps. So you might have 10 chapters, and each chapter is go over here and build this camp. Boom, you do so. Now there's invaders. Go ahead and take out the invaders. It's a sequence of chapters giving you kind of an ongoing narrative. So again, if you've played a game like Command and Conquer, like Red Alert, and you have that kind of aspect of you have an objective, you do the objective, that brings you to the next step of the journey, that's going to have this kind of situation. Now there's another way to play where it's a little more free play. You kind of define what you're doing as you go. Although that does seem, the way the campaign's structured, it does seem like it's kind of vague. It's like, hey, here's a sandbox and make it as you want, which I think most people wouldn't really do that. So take that with a grain of salt, although I could be wrong. It's my understanding of it from what I saw was it's kind of like, hey, you have the tools, make it yourself, which theoretically is true. But as far as the game over here, that's basically going to be that RTS kind of thing. You're controlling sirens. Each siren has their massive ability tree, so you have these tons of abilities to how you build out your sirens and how you develop them. You're gathering resources in the game and trying to figure out how to build various, locations, or, again, develop your own resources, get more abilities, gather more items. A lot of fun things happening in this experience. You can check out a playthrough on the channel if you want to see that, a partial playthrough of going through the first few chapters in a scenario. But as far as pledge levels in the game over here, we have the Deep Sea Wathia over here for €269. We have the core game for €79, and the gameplay bundle for €119. And that matters over here because you have the gameplay. If you want all the gameplay, the base game and the expansion, it's €119. And I say that because if you're scared off by the €269, that makes sense, but you are paying for a lot of extras that you don't need to play the game. You're paying for miniatures. Let's go through them over here. You have the various stretch goals over here, but for the miniatures, you're paying for all these miniature packs for the various sirens you play as, for the bosses, for the bosses mini pack over here. So you're paying for a lot of these are going to be in their gameplay all in. The Phoenix mini, the Old Being mini, so you're paying a lot of that, plus acrylic standees, acrylic resources, the neoprene mat. So the gameplay all in includes a lot of things that you may not need to make your experience better. Again, $269 might be scary, which it makes sense, it's scary to me, versus $119 is, it should be scary, but it is less scary. So even though it should be scary, it's definitely a less scary number overall. But as far as should you back and should you not, will it hold its value? It's a little harder to say on this one. This one's doing fairly well. $140,000 raised, €140,000 raised is not a small amount of money. 589 backers is a medium amount, so 14 days to go. It'll probably cross 750 by the time you get to the end. But again, the backer numbers are a big thing for me when I'm determining will it hold its value, because it kind of determines how much demand was this. For all the eyes that were on this thing, how many people said, I want this thing, because there's going to be a pool of people who want that thing down the road. If it's a game that's not for you, if you get the game and you try it out and you're like, not for me. Or maybe you finish it and you want to move on and turn around, sell it, and trade it for the next thing. That matters for the general popularity. I would say that this one I definitely put into a risk category. It's popular enough that I could see someone getting all the money back on it. I for sure could. But I also, I think it is expensive enough and it's not popular enough that I do think it's very much in a risk category. So I would say if you back this one, assume you're losing something, but you'll probably be able to get something back if you turn around and find out it's not for you. Next up, we have DC Superheroes United from Simon over here. $805,000 raised, 6,981 backers, and 16 days left to go. I'll also have another gameplay coming for you soon of Darkseid. I played against Darkseid with my son because I thought for a game that could be played with adults and kids alike, I thought it'd be fun to see how gameplay went with an 8-year-old. I think he's 8-year-old. Anyways, it's always hard to keep track of your kids when you have 4 of them, because at any given point, one of them crossed a birthday somewhere, which means 4 times a year I have to mentally adjust the numbers. 4 times a year I have to go, oh yeah, my kids are like 4, 8, 10, and 12. Wait, no, it's 5, 8, 10, and 12. No, it's 5, 8, 10, and 13. No, it's 5, 9, 10, and 13. No, it's 5, 9, 11, and 13. You have to do that 4 times a year at random points. Like, their birthdays aren't the same day every year. It's just completely random. You just have to figure out when they are. Anyways, 16 days left to go over here. DC Superheroes United. DC Superheroes United is going to be building off the Marvel United formula. If you check out my review of this game, I go through not just what this game is doing, but I go through the entire Marvel United timeline of how they've iterated and adjusted on their games as time has gone on. Although, of course, because of the nature of these campaigns, there's even more to talk about in these games because they've already added more things, more concepts. They have bystanders in the game. We now have bystanders in Marvel United. That's a new in DC Superheroes United. Sorry about that. We now have bystanders in DC Superheroes United. So that's another way that the game is being added to or adjusted to. But in general, the United system has continuously iterated and developed and continuously gotten better. I like all the changes, but again, something I've complained about is it makes playing the original stuff a little less satisfying because all the small tweaks and adjustments are happening upwards. Which means you could back this game and get the best version of the game. Or maybe you could wait for the 17th campaign down the road and get that version of the game instead. It's always hard to say, but honestly, I've gotten so much enjoyment from Marvel United that I am not worried about, loss sunk cost into that. I've played this game a lot. It's a very, very played game. It's a very enjoyable game. Check out the Dice Tower. Like, in the Dice Tower, you know, top 100, Z put it as number 1. I think Tom put it as 10. I think Mike put it as 17. Like, those are high numbers. From top 100 game of all time, I think I had like 35 of mine. This is a game that, like, it is definitely a lighter experience. The United game system is a lighter experience. There's no question with that. But there is something compelling about it when you have so many people review it. First of all, backers are getting it left, right, and center. But when you have a lot of people like myself, like the Dice Tower, like whoever, who have played a lot of games and they're like, nope, this one lands. This one is good. There's something to be said for that. It doesn't mean it's a game for you. To be very clear, no reviewer means that their opinion matches yours. But it does mean that there is something here. If you've played the United game system and you're like, that's so silly and stupid, I don't know what people see in this. Sure, but people definitely see something in it. But that said, over here, we have the Super Friends over here. Super Friends pledge for $65. That's going to give you the DC Superhero United core box, which gives you the crowdfunding exclusive characters, plus, of course, all the stretch goals that are going to be revealed for $65 over here. We have the Titans pledge for $100 for $35 more, which also gives you the Teen Titans crowdfunding exclusive over here, which gives you Trigon, Raven, Deathstroke, Starfire, Beast Boy, and Robin. I will say I will be doing a very quick coverage of this campaign because I'll probably be doing a full should you back it towards the end of the campaign. I like the Marvel United system, so I'll probably be doing a full coverage of here's all the stuff and here's the add-ons and all that, so I'll be doing a very loose coverage right now. But over here, we have the Titans over here, so the 2 pledge levels, $100 includes Teen Titans, $65 not including Teen Titans. Keep in mind, this is CMON, check out the shipping over here because shipping is going to be generally relatively expensive, although they have brought their costs down. So, like, if you look right now for the Super Friends or the Titans, this is actually one of the better price points they've had. It does seem that CMON is constantly listening to and adapting to feedback, and if you hard tapped out because of, you know, shipping prices being crazy, 20 and 22 is much more reasonable. So definitely check that out. Definitely check out the shipping section and actually look at it instead of assuming it's going to be higher, because they are focusing on bringing those numbers down. As far as the add-ons over here, so accessories, we just have the expansion, the Metropolis expansion. Again, won't heavily go into this right now, but it's going to be Metropolis. You have more super stuff going on. Your very super characters from Steel, Crypto, and Supergirl. So Crypto, if you want to play as a dog in Superheroes United, and DC Superheroes United, you now have that option. But you also have Bystanders, a new character type that go on the map, and they don't really interact the same way. They have their own rules for how they move or what they do or how they help or hurt the situation. That's going to be a whole new element going on in the game. We also have Doomsday and Brainiac as your enemies over here, and then we have Kryptonite tokens to go against the various Kryptonian people who are too strong. We have Superboy as an expansion over here, and Lois Lane. Also, have I made fun of the names yet? I don't know if I made fun of the names yet. Let's go to the rewards over here. Let's go backward. Here we go. Power Girl. Okay, so I saw Power Girl, and my first thought was, wow. Like, the next time you're naming a board game, song, video, whenever you're doing anything naming, and if you think the name you came up with is bad, like Power Girl, is that like a good name? And granted, I don't know the DC universe well enough to know this character, so I'm not like familiar with it. But that made me think, and I was like, wait a second, Power Girl I might be making fun of, but then is Superman any better? Is Wonder Woman any better? Is Batman any better? These are all very simplistic driven names. Like Flash is an actual name, but then you have Aquaman there. Like, so we have in the initial core people, you have there's a lot of just generically Hawkman, Hawkgirl, all these things, Supergirl, Superboy. There's all these men, boys, girls, all that stuff with just random words that make them sound more powerful. Beast Boy, Starfire is an actual name, Robin's a name, Deathstroke's a name, Raven's a name. But then we have just either way, the problem is we're used to Superman, so it doesn't actually make me think of it. As far as stretch goals, a whole lot to go through here. Again, I'll be doing a deeper dive later. I do want to focus on the complications over here. The complications are a fun little thing that go into the master plan deck at various points, and when they come out, they make things harder for you until you accomplish a challenge. So for example, tougher than they look, once the card's in play, you have to forfeit an attack action during your turn, but then if you defeat two villains and two thugs or henchmen or whatever in a single turn, then you get rid of that card. So complications introduce a thing that will hold you back until you overcome a challenge. I really like that as a good compensating factor. I think it's a very cute little element to add to the game. We have more superhero and supervillain cards if you're familiar with those modes. And there's a lot of various characters over here. We have Steppenwolf, who does seem like he's aggressive. It seems like he wants to kill heroes in the game. Anyways, that's going to be some of the stuff over here. We'll focus more on this when we do a full should you back at the end of the campaign, and that's kind of DC Superheroes United. I will say, as far as should you back, should you not, will it hold its value? Yes, it will hold its value. Whether or not you need it is a different story. Many of you who are backing this probably have way too much United in their game collections already. I myself am going to be getting all of this and do not need any of it, to be very, very clear. But as far as should you back, should you not, will it hold its value, I do believe it will hold its value. The United system has done fairly well. It's not perfect. It's been interesting that over the past few years, there have been times when retailers have bought various things from CMON campaigns and then dumped them at lower price points. So there have been times where you can get certain things for cheaper than you normally can. But for the most part, their things have still held their value. It's just that it can be frustrating. If you're a backer and you pay $300 for the all-in. I have no clue what the all-in will be, but if you pay $300 for the all-in, and then somebody in your Facebook group buys it all for $240 at a store because some retailers liquidated inventory, that can be frustrating. But overall, they still have done a good job holding their value, just those situations have occurred. So if you want to hold out for that potential deal, you can do so, but those are kind of hit or miss. They're harder to guarantee around. We have Zoo Tycoon over here, which is not loading. There we go. Zoo Tycoon, the board game, New Shores, our last campaign of the day. $360,000 raised, 2,347 backers, 17 days to go. Zoo Tycoon, the board game, New Shores is going to be bringing you, well, new shores. A whole entire new set of species. You can check out my review coverage of the game. There's going to be an entirely new set of species, as well as new terrain types. You have like reptiles and aquatic animals, plus the terrarium, I think it was called. So there's new things being added in this expansion to the game. You can check out my review, which will focus very heavily on what the new things are and how I felt they added to the game. But as far as the pledge levels over here, the pledge levels are going to be, oh, and there's an entire bonus set of animals as well, in case you want that. For for $84, you have the standard expansion. This is not a standalone game. This is an expansion that requires the base game. For $95, you get the deluxe version plus the new stuff. You're also getting the new animal meeples with all stretch goals. I believe you're getting, am I wrong? Deluxe version expansion? No, I might be wrong. I might be wrong over here. There we go. For $111, you get the deluxe version plus everything new. Then you get the additional animal species as well, which is 8 more species with 90 meeples for the game, so it's going to give you everything new over there. And then for $112, you get the deluxe base game, and for $109, you get the base game and expansion, and for $206, you get all in base game, expansion, and deluxe add-on meeples, which is a lot of money for Zoo Tycoon over here. But Zoo Tycoon is basically it's a lot of meeples in the game. I'm not saying it's too much money, but it's a lot of money for the game. You have to focus on from the game side of what you get out of it. But this basically a zoo management game. Every round you're going to be constantly, I think it's 6 rounds if I recall correctly, I have to double check, but every round you're going to be gathering animals into your zoo, going through a buying and trading phase as you try to figure out how to get the right animals, get rid of excess animals, because if you don't get rid of them properly, you get penalized for that instead, trying to breed animals and elevate their happiness levels to get as many points as possible. It's basically a zoo management game. You're also managing your own personal board as far as how you place animals, build your habitats, all of them having different elements going on. The aquatic definitely adds, the aquatic and reptile stuff add new things to consider as far as different terrain types and the way to manage those. The terrarium gives you a whole new element to manage the little side puzzle. Lots of things going on in the game. If you like this, to me, the biggest critique I have of the game is it is more complicated. It's more complicated than people might assume for a Zoo Tycoon game. There's a lot going on, a lot to manage. The rules are not necessarily the clearest, but the overall end result is a pretty good game as far as zoo management goes. And lots of animal meeples with deluxe version having them silkscreen printed on them and all that. As far as should you back or should you not, will it hold its value? Again, looking at the secondhand market on the first game is definitely a mix. There are people who have sold this game for significantly less than what they paid for. If you look at the secondhand market, there's a complete mix. So you can find people who bought the game for $100 or $110, whatever the conversion rate was, and they sold it for $50 down the road, which is a big hit on the game. But I've also found people who got their full $110 or more sometimes back. So I would say that this is a weird one because usually numbers fall into more obvious patterns, and those patterns can either be consistency across the board, or alternatively, you have higher numbers at first, lowering down over time, and that's not the case over here. Over here, if you look at the secondhand market, it really is all over the place as far as what people have sold the game for, which makes it very hard to say, will it hold its value? I don't know, because some people sold it for half what they paid for it, and I don't know if those people couldn't get the full amount and gave up and lowered the price, or they just couldn't be bothered and they just listed it for $50. So that's a little harder to find out about, but I will say there are people who have gotten their full amount back or close to it, and so that's a good sign overall, but there are people who have sold it for less, and that's a medium sign. I would say if you are back in this game and you're wondering if it's for you or not, and you are looking forward to selling, trading it down the road if it doesn't work for you, there's definitely a risk factor in there just because of how inconsistent the marketplace sales are on it. And that's basically all the games over here, which brings us to the picks of the week. Picks of the week are the game that I usually do 2 picks of the week, the game that I think is most likely to hold its value, and then my personal favorite from this. There's a lot of games I really like here, which makes it a hard week. Even just looking at the big ones, we have 20 Strong, we have DC Superheroes United, and we have Brink over here, just 3 big, and that's not even doing a deep dive into all of the individual campaigns, but just from those over there, oh my gosh, I kind of have them picked out. I'm having second thoughts over here. Okay, so I'm going to give my pick of the week. My straight up pick of the week is going to go to DC Superheroes United. At the end of the day, the Marvel United system is a game that I've given so much time to that I have to pick DC Superheroes United, even though I think that it is also close to being the value pick of the week, and likely would be. I just think that, again, 20 Strong is up there, Brink is up there, both are excellent experiences, but I play so much of the Marvel United system, and I get so much enjoyment from it, that it has to be my personal interest pick of the week. As far as most likely to hold its value, I probably would go with Brink. It's a little tricky. I almost want to switch them and give the value guarantee to DC Superheroes United, because I usually try to pick different games for them, but because I think DC Superheroes United is more likely to hold its value, I think Brink has more of a slight hesitation on it, but I do think Brink, from the rest of the campaigns we looked at today, still has the second most likely to hold its value compared to DC Superheroes United, so I'm going to give that my value pick of the week. And with that, that is basically everything. Until, no, we have upcoming campaigns. Upcoming campaigns over here. We have Jim Henson's Labyrinth coming up next week over here, launching, well, tomorrow basically, so if you want to check that out, that's going to be coming over on GameFound. 7,000 people following the campaign page. This is giving you the 4th anniversary collection of this over here. And then next up we have Luthier launching as well. Luthier is going to be launching on Kickstarter as well, I think tomorrow as well. 8,000 people following the campaign, coming to you from Pavison Games and Distilled, giving you Luthier, the Age of the Instrument, a blind bidding worker placement game of managing your patrons, building instruments, and all of that and more. In any case, until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I appreciate you being here, and as always, I hope you have a good one. Okay. It's hard to explain puns to kleptomaniacs, because they always take things literally.